I am live here with comedian, storyteller, public speaker trainer, Gedjan. He's a Dutch comedian, and I'm super excited to have you on the show, Gedjan. Let me know, how are things for a comedian, a storyteller like you in these strange times? Tell me, how are you doing?
Um, Firstly, good morning, Oscar. Thank you for having me on the show. Really nice to be here with you. I think it's pretty exciting as well because you putting me on a pedestal like a comedian. It was like I just once decided to do a comedy, and it's fun doing. I'll talk about it later. But in Holland, we are all isolated. We're all sitting in our houses. People are asked to stay home. Don't go shopping. Shops are closed. Barbers are closed. Look at my hair. I look like Ludwig van Beethoven in another few weeks, I think. But the weather is great. We had snow like 10 days ago, and now it's like sunny and 30 degrees warmer than it is like 10 days ago.
Wow.
It's great.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy, huh? Great,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Anyway, good to have you on the show. And like we
Thank
were
you.
just talking before we were going live, for me, like the best speakers, they're comedians because I think you need so much creativity, you need so much timing, you need so much pauses. I mean, it's the hardest skill. How come you decided? I mean, I know you do other things than comedy, but how did you decide or find a passion for comedy? Tell me a little bit how you got into it and maybe where you are today with comedy.
This is a fun story. I did a course in Amsterdam at the
Mhm.
university in documentary making, a 16-week course. And with a friend of mine, we made a small documentary in like 3 months, 4 months. When we were finished, there was a new a program, a pin to the wall, and a summer program, and one of them was a week of comedy. And my girlfriend, really shy, not wanting to stand in the spotlight, we decided both to take this course for 1 week. And me, I'm a guy. I really like being on stage. Give me a microphone, and I'll talk to people. But she is really, really shy, and but she took the course as well. And at the end of the week, she had her performance. She climbed on stage and had a full, what do you call it, venue of I think like the 250 people seeing her bit. Um, and ever since then, we have tried to perform wherever we could, small clubs, bigger clubs. And it's fun. It's fun making people laugh. So for me, it was like a natural way, but it's so much fun to do it. It's you get more engagement with the audience. People really enjoy it when they are made to laugh. So I always incorporate it in all of my presentations.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, obviously, getting a laugh is one of the best things in the world. But for people that are just starting out, they might not necessarily get that many laughs when they start. How was your beginning in comedy? Did you just immediately do pretty well? Or did you have a lot of times where, like, oh boy, that was no laughs? And, tell me a little bit about your start.
Okay, well, it's okay, first of all, you have to write it. I mean,
Sure.
people. But I do stand up, which is different from cabaret. Stand up is like you walk into a place, you grab a microphone, and you start talking to people like you just met them, like you were in a bar talking to your friends. But all comedy has been written out. Everything has been thought about. Everything has been planned. Everything a comedian say, unless of course he is interacting with somebody in the audience. But basically, everything has been written and thought about. So it's a technique, and this week you'll learn a lot about a technique. What is funny? What's not funny? How to make a joke? How to build it up? How to finish it? Your punchlines. So it's technique, and that is something you have to practice. And yeah, sometimes the audience doesn't laugh. It's not
Hmm.
the audience to blame, but yourself. But a joke made today can be terrible tomorrow. It
Hmm.
happens. You die on stage, as they call it.
Cool, awesome. We have Sundar Rai with us. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. He says hi. Hi, good to have you on the show. Sundar Rai, if you got any questions, comments, let us know down below. We have our expert with us here, Kedyan. So what I took away from what you just said is that it's actually a skill that can be learned. Like you took a course and for a week, and then you broke down the different steps in comedy to be funny. So what is one of the techniques you will be using, let's say, to find your joke? Says you got to write it down, but before you write it, I assume you got to have some sort of idea what's funny. So how do you find funny?
No, it doesn't have to be. It's like for example, I have my bit has been written around a very dark and very dark period in my life. I have had a depression 10 years ago. And my whole bit, or most of my bit, is written around that, and I make it funny. But it's the way you present it to people. And what you do is you apply several techniques. For example, a very common technique is make a list, and it's always 3 things, and the third one is always something you don't expect. So it's like, well, I'm just trying to figure something out for as a replacement for wine. I stopped drinking and I needed something to, what can I replace it with? So I thought of coffee, tea, vinegar. So it's and neither of them is okay, but it's like it's something unexpected. That's a technique.
Okay, so basically listing, like, so that could be one thing where you say, okay, here's something, let me make a list, 10, 20 things, and then you can kind of sort it out.
Always 3.
Yeah, but you have like a Minetto list probably, don't you? Where you can have several things and you can pick out the funny, I guess. And we got my man, Asbjørn Jensen, with us here. I know he's done a little bit of comedy too. He's my good friend, business partner. We do so much together, so it's awesome to have you with us, Asbjørn, here. And please leave a comment if you got any questions for Kedyan here, our Dutch comedian and storyteller. So make a list of things, and I guess you need a little bit of discipline, don't you? Because I mean, if you find the funny, do you write it down when you have it, or what's your process for keeping your jokes?
Everybody has their own process. My girlfriend, for example, is really writing it down and is sitting down and putting it on a piece of paper. There is an app that you can actually put in some keywords if you just walk in and ideas come at unexpected moments, in the shower, as you know, or in the bathroom, or while walking. And when you don't have a piece of paper, there's an app, or you can either just put it in your voice recorder and just give the keywords and then just write it out later. And it's writing, rewritings, scraping. So there is a lot of and testing it. But now these days there is no way to test it because there are no theaters open. So it's like you have to bounce jokes up and down between the two of you.
Yeah, well, you got your wife. You can try it on, and obviously, I know you make a video every week in Dutch. Unfortunately, I know you made one in English, but I'm eager to have you.
For you.
For me, I was so happy you did that. And no, you're making great videos, and I hope you will be making more videos in English because I think you could, share your message to a broad audience. But of course, I also know I'm Danish. English is my second language. It is harder if it's not a natural language to make jokes because you need to be really on edge, and there can be some word plays that might be a little bit harder if it's not a mother tongue. I don't know what your experience is. If you've done any humor in English or second language for you, have you tried that?
Yes, it's very difficult. I mean, well, it's not. You're right. If it's not your mother tongue, then you miss the finesses and the details or the subtlety that can make a joke really work or can kill it. And I know, like the video that I did in English, which was more like a parody on the on LinkedIn and on the several variants of the coronavirus. Then it's if I look at it now, I think, oh, it still could be better, and it still could be more subtle and more down to what I really wanted to say. But I'm Dutch. I'm not English, so it's I have to work with what I have.
Sure, but I think you're at a good place in terms of you can see where you can improve. Because I remember
Yeah.
when I was starting my public speaking career, there was a certain point I couldn't see how I could get better. I mean, I could see I was not as good as the others, but I didn't know how to get better. So I think that is a great place actually to be in. And then I decided to get some help from other people. And then obviously it opened my world a bit more than just watching YouTube videos or online courses, which I think is great to start, but it is still a little bit mechanical. It's not tailored to the individual person. So that's my experience with that. So let me ask you. We got a question. Did Gideon say that he made fun of his depression in his stand-up, or was it he made fun with? I think. Let's see what he says, Gideon. But I think you were using your depression to you had some fun from the depression, jokes around your depression.
Stand-up is almost, well, most of the time it's about yourself. It's not about other people. It's about yourself and how you live and how you relate to others. But it's about yourself. That's why it looks like the way you tell it and the way you present it. It's like everything just popped up in your head, and then talking about yourself is what you do. So everything in my life that happens is material, is in potential material that you can use. And a depression, there are so many people that have had depressions, and I make really hard jokes on them about it. And people relate to it, and they understand it, and that makes that the laugh gets bigger as well.
Oh, that's very brave of you, Sis. I think so. It's super cool that you're doing this. And I think, sometimes the best comedians, they will make us laugh about serious issues. Like depression might not be a topic we will talk so much about, especially if we don't have it maybe. But becoming aware of this, maybe how many people have it, that you don't see it. Yeah, because I'm assuming there are probably a lot of people out in the world, especially in these times, that might have depression or some form of it.
True.
Because we are struggling, but we don't see it. We might not see it. So I think it's great you coming out here, and Aspen has great degree of vulnerability. Yeah, so I totally agree with you. Share your stories, and I think in comedy it's a little bit different. Like you're saying, it's about yourself because you make fun of yourself. Like it wouldn't be the best jokes if you made fun of the audience. I mean, you can probably poke fun of them every now and then, but I guess the majority of the time has to be on yourself, because otherwise, it's just not relatable. You don't connect with them. Whereas a story, maybe you want to take more of the audience perspective, where you think, okay, that could be potentially them in that story, or actually put them in the story. I don't know what's your experience with that, or your thoughts on this.
If it's we're still talking about comedy, right? If it's comedy,
so I'm saying comedy is about yourself because you don't want to make too much fun of other people. You disconnect with them. Whereas if you tell a story,
if they start heckling you, then you really have to kill them. That's what you have to do. If you don't respond to somebody shouting at you from the audience, you have to respond. And if they keep doing it, you have to kill them. That's
So what's your experience? You've had some hecklers, I assume. What's your if somebody said, "Oh, this sucks, it's terrible," if I'm like, "Okay, go down, sit down," what would be your response to that? For instance,
you can challenge them to step on stage as well, and show me what to do. I mean, that obviously.
That's a good one.
Otherwise, shut up. It depends. There's a few rules in comedy. You never go on stage where people are having dinner, because they paid attention to dinner, and I try to avoid places where people are loaded. I mean, that's
well, it does happen, doesn't it? These small places.
It does. But sometimes you have to deal with somebody in the moment. It's like if you're on top of your act, if you're on top of your bit, then your mind races like crazy, and then you're funny. You're so funny, you kill them. And sometimes it happens that they are funnier than you are, and you have to admit it. You say, "Sir, you are funnier than me. God bless," whatever, and admit that the other one at that moment has beat you.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. Really give him the credit, and I guess it kind of takes out all the energy if you're just like disarming them. Say, "Yeah, you are funnier than me."
Yeah. At this moment.
Yeah.
At this moment.
At that moment, yeah. I mean, we can all be funny at home in our couches, or on the backstage, but obviously
Yeah.
it's a way harder to go on stage. And
Yeah.
and I guess we've all sat and looked at a speaker or somebody doing comedy and thought, my, how difficult can this be? And then when we get up there, it's just like 1,000 times more difficult. Isn't that what
Yes.
your experience is?
It's. I also thought when I started, well, how difficult can it be, as you just said. But then you realize that writing a joke and making, because it's all about the punch. I mean, and you need to the build up, the setup. You have to put in everything that the other one needs to know to understand the punch. Too much is waste, and the punch won't be a punch. But building it up, writing it down, so the other person, your audience, has just enough to know the punch without knowing what the punch is going to be. You have to surprise them.
Yeah.
That's difficult. Yeah, that's cost a lot of time and a lot of rewriting and testing and timing and the way the way you say it. So there is more to it than just telling jokes.
Yeah, there is. There really is. It's the room, it's the energy. I guess it also means a lot who was on the show before. I mean, if they're already warmed up and laughing, I guess it's easier to go on stage than if they're just totally cold. I don't know, is
Well,
that
there's
right?
the MC. Yeah, well, you have the MC to warm up the audience. That is his job. That is to raise the energy, but also to bring the energy down when everybody is too pumped up. There are comedians that never want to play on the first spot. I don't really care about it. You can actually ask me on stage any moment that you want me to be there. So whether it's number one or number five, or a last or in the middle, I don't care. I just come to play, and but the energy in the audience, that's really important as well. And a good MC, the master of ceremony, can play with that. He can help you to because I have a very clean and low-paced bit. I mean, I'm not really pumping energy on stage. I'm just telling a story in a funny way, with punches, and pretty intense sometimes. But my energy is a lot more subtle than others I've seen. So if you're on an audience that has really high energy, the moment I come up, they're going to be disappointed because the way I talk is really in a slower pace. So the MC has to bring that down before me or for me.
So that's something you would talk with him about before?
Well, a good MC, if they know you, and they know your bit, know your act, then they know what to do. And sometimes it's just like you go with the flow and just, or you bring it down yourself. I've done MCing as well, so I can just, if I need, I can either bring it up, or can bring it down if I need to. If the audience is really like, now you gotta make me laugh, then you've got to do other things than just starting telling jokes. Then you really have to say, okay, I see that you're sitting there. We're all here to have fun. Why don't you relax? Just take off your arms and just stand up for a bit. And then we'll just do some exercises. And then we'll just go and loosen everybody a bit up.
That's a great way to do it. I mean, you also kind of indirectly telling them, hey, this is a two-part. You also got to be in it. Right?
Yes, it definitely is. Yeah.
That's a great way to indirectly challenge them, I think.
And the fun thing is, if you're holding the microphone, everybody does what you want them to do. It's also a place of power, which you have to use in the right way, of course. But a guy with a microphone telling you what to do, everybody, except for a single one of them, but most of the people will do what you ask them to do. So if you say, ladies and gentlemen, let's stand up for a while and let's loosen up those shoulders and move your head and do some things to loosen yourself up. You're here to have fun with me. Everybody will listen and do what you ask them to. It's a powerful place to be in.
It really is. But I guess it's also, I mean, it's a power position. But have you tried, I'm sure you have tried, I guess every comedian that has done several sets have tried where things didn't work, where the jokes weren't coming through. Then I guess it's equally painful to be up there. What's your experience with not having people laugh? And I guess in the beginning, it's the hardest.
I have seen. I know what it is when people don't laugh, and all you have to do is you have to tell yourself, okay, I have had performances where they did laugh on this joke. So it could be the audience, could be the venue, it could be the atmosphere, it could be anything, and you have to analyze why, but you don't have to run with it for the rest of your life. I mean, the next day you can have the same act in the same place, same time, and be hilarious. But you have to, there's many things you can control yourself, and that's one of them is your bits, your act, the jokes you're telling. They have to be good. If you don't know what you're doing, and you say, "Well, I just go stand on stage and I just start talking," fat chance that you won't be funny. Because people expect you to be.
Yeah, probably. And go ahead.
Sorry?
No, I just want to say we got a comment here from Joanna Youngsman. How about comedy on Zoom? I mean, we can take it. You know, finish your bit there. And do you do anything differently? I just want to say hi, Joanna. So
Hi,
Joanna. So you were just talking about, you know, dying on stage, not having the laughs, how to deal with that.
I haven't performed in Zoom yet. I do a lot of Zoom sessions for people that want to network. And I'm funny with funny remarks, but I don't do actual stand-up comedy in Zoom. There is the trouble with Zoom is that if there's a latency between your joke and the audience responding, that by the time you start talking again, and then you finally get their laughs, which is terrible. And you want to interact with your audience. If anybody ever wants to go on stage and try and start telling jokes, one thing you must remember: if the audience start laughing, shut the fuck up. Don't start talking. Don't start talking. Shut the fuck up. Wait till the laugh has flooded you, then you go on. Don't talk while they are laughing.
I guess that's why they come. They come to laugh, and if you're taking the laugh away, it's like doing negative work.
It is, but it's like you don't want their compliment, because a laugh is a compliment. They think what you are doing is funny. So if you start telling a joke and they start laughing, even if it's not the joke, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. Sometimes we'll be surprised what's funny. And I mean, I'm not a comedian, but I do obviously go out and present. And I got a few jokes incorporated. I wouldn't say jokes, but more like funny things. And it's just surprising how it's different from every place when they laugh and not. You know, there are places where like, it's a 70% chance they will laugh here, 30% here, but it changes all the time. But basically what you're saying is it's really hard to make comedy in a camera live because the interaction is different. And I mean, even now that we're talking, there's a little bit delay, like me jumping in, right? It's like when you were talking, is it slightly unnatural? Because even just like a microsecond, it delays it a little bit. So, but my own experience with this is if I've been out and seen somebody do comedy, and I thought they were just hilarious, I really, really laughed, and I come home and see them on TV, it's like, they're okay. You know, it's kind of like it takes 50% away from the fun because you're not in the venue.
Right.
So even that also makes it harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are comedians that I know that are now doing Zoom sessions. There's a club in Utrecht that has a Zoom comedy, and you can just sit at home and enjoy them. But yeah, it's different from being there and feeling the energy, knowing what's going. People around you are laughing. Because how often do you laugh at yourself at the television as loud as while you're in a venue? You don't. I mean, you just sit there, you smile. It's oh, funny. But
Yeah. I guess that's why they have this canned laugh on the sitcoms, just to get people laughing, kind of get in the mood. Because otherwise, why should they do it? And we got Dr. ML. Hi, everyone. Good to have you with us. Dr. ML, if you got any questions, comedy is here to expert comedian, get you on, let us know. Or things related to storytelling, public speaking. I mean, we've covered a lot of great stuff already. So I want to talk about, because fear of public speaking, that is one of the biggest fears out there. And I assume it doesn't become less if you do comedy, because once you're on stage, on the stage whether things are working or not. I mean, if I deliver a speech, I can know if it really sucks or if it's amazing. But if it's somewhere in between, it's a little bit hard to know. But in comedy, either you get the laugh or you don't. I guess it's kind of like being an attacker in football. Either you score or you don't. It's very measurable. So how is that fear for you? Is it different if you go out and do public speaker training, or maybe a more storytelling thing, or comedy? Was really he's funny or he's not funny?
If you do comedy and you climb on stage and you're going to do your act, then you have to score. You know that people expect you to be funny and tell jokes, because that's what it basically is. It's telling jokes about yourself and just give them a good time. On public speaking, people also expect something from you. They want to be trained, or they want to be enlightened. They want to be whatever. They're also expecting something from you. That's why they are there. They're sitting there. They're waiting for you to deliver something, which is also exciting thought. At least for me, it is, because you hope that at the end of your presentation or the morning, people come to you and say, "Thank you very much. That was a really good of you," or "I've learned something," or for that. And if they don't, you have the same result as wasn't good enough, or was it, what should I improve? Or so if you expect, no, you have to, with comedy and other presentations, you have to think of the audience. It's not about me. I like doing it, but it's not about me. It's about the audience. They are there because they expect something from you. And you said something about the fear of speaking. I just give me a stage and a microphone and an audience, and I have the ideal combination. I'll talk about anything if I have to. So I don't have that. I don't have the fear of speaking. I just really enjoy it. But I can understand that if you do this not as a regularly or every once in a while, it can be really frightening. I know artists, people that 5-10 seconds before they have to go on stage still need to use the bathroom because they're so frightened, which is yeah, it happens. But I think you can control it by knowing your bit, know your stuff.
So really practicing. You say at home.
Don't make it too long. Don't make it too long. It's like people don't make it too long. Like I have a list of jokes, but if you have presentation, don't start with presentations that take like 30 minutes. Like 10 minutes talking is already a long time for most people. And 5 minutes, you can do it in 5 minutes.
It's so true. I remember when I started out in a club called Toastmasters, which is actually a great place to start. And there you would typically do a speech 5 to 7 minutes. And I would have to practice quite a lot to do a speech of 5 to 7 minutes. Whereas today, if somebody asked me, can you do a seminar an hour? I'm like, oh, an hour is not that much, really. Can I really deliver something in an hour of pretty good value? So now it's like an hour is like almost nothing. Like it becomes more comfortable to do 2, maybe even 3 hours because you have more time. But I guess, like you're saying, follow your advice and just start small because 5 minutes is easier than an hour.
Yeah.
And right. I guess that's also up in my head, thinking that an hour is too little. I mean, we just got to tailor it to that time and find some good points and stories in that time.
Pretty long. An hour talking, that's pretty long.
Yeah. But if you're doing a seminar where you maybe even want to have an exercise in, and it's usually I try to avoid just me talking because I also want to engage the audience. And what I see a lot of times is the training where you really learn is when you do it. Because what I usually say, you can learn the theory of storytelling and public speaking in a day. You go watch some YouTube videos, read a couple of books, but you can take a lifetime to master it, right? And that is through the practice, applying it. So I think that's incredibly important. Yeah. So for people who want to be more funny, what are your other techniques? You said make a list of things and then find the funny. What are some other techniques you use? Because I think we need more humor. We need more comedy. Also, just corporate presentations that tend to be so incredibly boring, especially if it's a PowerPoint with loads of text. What is some of your favorite methods besides the list thing to generate fun stuff?
Well, I'm not really fond of PowerPoint presentations either, but sometimes you really need them to support your story. But then just make a couple of slides. There's one thing before I talk to you about other techniques. There's a few things that I would advise not to do ever, and it's the same as I say to people on LinkedIn. Never start opening the presentation with your name. I mean, you'd be amazed how many presenters climb on stage and they start introducing themselves. If it's a good program, everybody knows who the speakers are. And if they have real interest in you, they have looked you up and they have figured some things about you out. So you don't need to do, hello, my name is Gert-Jan van Bussek and I'm here to talk to you today about comedy and storytelling. This is something that people know when they come to your presentation. It's a waste of time too. Start with something really powerful. Say something out of the ordinary. Say something that will grab their attention. If you want to, you can use some techniques of comedy. Like you can say something which is exaggerating, which is a technique in comedy. Blow things out of proportion. You can act like a type. I wear a yellow raincoat and boxing gloves if I do, which I take off during my presentation. And people are just looking at me and say, what the hell is this guy doing? Where is he going with this? My last live presentation was halfway lockdown last year. And we had to have this 1.50 meter distance, social distancing. And I took a stick of a broom. I took that with me on stage and I said, this is only 120, which is far shorter than the 150. And people thought it was like more. Just to grab their attention and make it more lively than just saying, well, you don't really have to keep 1.50 meter from each other. Just show, just don't tell. And if you want it in comedy, if you want to add comedy to it, then there's several techniques. Like as I just said, you can exaggerate things. A list of things is good. You can project it on your audience. There are so many simple ways to make it a little more funnier. And if you are a person that can visualize things in their head, that's a story already. If you are able to tell that to somebody, they have that same image, and then it is a story.
Yeah, that's a really powerful technique, visualizing. Well, I do that quite a bit, and I try to visualize what I want to do. Was a lot of the advice out there is just visualize the end result, which could be if you do comedy, is visualize them laughing, visualize you having a great time. But what if they aren't laughing? You can visualize acting out your act, saying it how you want. You can visualize yourself smiling and doing the process like you want. But visualizing the audience laugh is good, I guess, but it's not in your control.
Well, if you think that you are losing control and that you can't, because what you think is that you lose control over the audience, over the people that are listening to you. The best thing you can do, and I think the only thing you can do actually, engage with them. Stop your presentation and start asking questions to people in your audience. Just push a microphone under their nose. And things start happening because somebody is going to answer. There is interaction. People start raising their hands, want to say something as well. Acknowledge that your presentation is not going the way you wanted it. And you can ask them, is there something I have missed? Don't blame them. Blame yourselves. Make yourself vulnerable. Is there something I missed? Has something happened before that why you are like sitting, you're not interested, or you're whatever? Engage with them. And new energy will come up.
That's great advice. And we got Anas with us, Anas Danielson. He says at least they should know something beforehand, like you talked about earlier. Like in today's world, if you check in on a webinar, they will know who you are. If they come to a seminar, they will know who you are. And, you know, you're not the most interesting person on stage. It's actually the audience, right? So I totally agree with you. Don't spend too much time on yourself. Just go to it. And maybe you can indirectly tell them what it's about. Like one of the techniques I will be doing is have a hand raise. Let's say it's about sales. Who would like to make more sales and do it in a faster, more efficient way? And then have them raise their hands. Like, okay, we can kind of figure out the speech is about sales and how to do it faster, quicker, or whatever you want to do. Or if it's public speaking, how many would love to be more confident and secure on stage? I mean, you can put two and two together and be like, this is one of the things the guy will be talking about. But I just want to add the thing you said is really good. Like if you're saying the energy is down, you're feeling you're not connecting with the audience, throw them questions, give them questions, and acknowledge that the situation is not going well. I think that will kind of take a little bit of the negative energy out and be like, yeah, sure, man, I want to add up and help. And we got Jared with us. What up, guys? Happy I get to support you guys. Two of my favorites. Awesome to have you, Jared. I look forward to our conversation soon. I'm going to talk with Jared a little bit in the upcoming week about how to make better videos. So it's super cool to connect with Jared in the US. And you know him as well, Gedjana, I guess.
Oh, Jared,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know him. Sure, I'm connected to him. Yeah.
He makes so great videos. They're so funny. Yeah. All of you watching, check out Jared.
I'll tell you a story about him, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I want to know.
The first video I saw from him, he was a pilot, an airline pilot, and who was going to take off somewhere, like with no plan. And that was a really funny video, really funny. And then I liked it, and we connected, and he sent me I think he sent me a video DM, very strong. And then he explained to me, I thought it was really funny, and maybe it meant it funny. It was so funny. He said, this airline pilot had a huge mustache. He said, I hope you realized that it isn't my real mustache, or something like that, or so. It was like, how could I miss that? It was just, but it was really funny, and I've been following him ever since, and now I get to see his brother as well in my feed.
Yeah, so, I connect with his brother too. Yeah. He I remember the pilot video too. Really outstanding video, Jared. Awesome. And by the way, Asbjørn is making some great videos too. You should check out Asbjørn as well. So yeah, super cool to have great guys on the show. And Joanna, she makes great posts too. She's a public speaker trainer. So definitely all you watching, check out the people that are commenting here in the feed. All good people. So super cool. Yeah. It's so fun with this live where we can, when you have a few comments, and you can take it in and use it. Can we do this every morning? This makes me feel good. Awesome. We'll do this. Here it's about
What time is
11:40.
it, Jared?
I guess it's morning, he says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Super cool to have you on, Jared. So yeah, check out Gadjan if you want to know more about comedy. And Asper says, thanks, Asger. Yeah, he makes some great videos. I'm so envious of Asper.
I really enjoy connecting with people that are until like last year, September, I was only connected to everybody in Holland. The people I've learned the most from is people abroad, people in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Denmark. The way LinkedIn is used in those countries is so different from what I see is how they do it here. So I really enjoy connecting with people from abroad. My content is mostly.
Yeah, and the great thing is you can actually find the people that you can learn from that are really in your niche, like because in the future, I mean, it's already here. We're going to be doing way more webinars in the future. Why limit yourself? I'm based in Copenhagen. Why limit myself to just Copenhagen or maybe the greater area or maybe even Denmark? Why not?
Exactly.
Like a couple of weeks ago, I gave a seminar to a group of financial planners in London. Next week, I'll be giving another seminar to another group in London. So I think this is just the way to go. And like yesterday, I talked with a great guy in Lisbon and Ravi in London. So it's just a great playground. Why limit yourself? We're not a tree, right? We have two legs. We can move, and now we have this thing where we can just connect and connect with the whole world. And Jerry, he's a maniac. That guy. He's heading to the gym at 5:45. Crazy dude.
Good.
And he says, don't watch my brother's videos. Well, I got to tell you, Jared, they are pretty good too. You are up for competition. So no, just kidding. So Jared, now you got another follower. Asbjørn is going to follow him. This is the cool thing too, that we get to connect with other people that are really positive and can share a lot of good insights. Good. All right. Yeah, and you got some final tips and tricks on how to be more funny, engaging, better storytelling, maybe a couple of things. Because this is what people need to be better on stage. It doesn't have to be just comedy. What do you think?
Well, I think everybody loves attention, and also an audience. Most of them are really scared that you actually do ask them a question, especially with comedy. If you go to a comedy club, nobody wants to sit in the first row because they're very afraid that the comedian is going to ask them questions and is going to rip them apart, which is not necessarily always the case. It's also to get a good connection with the audience. But audiences want to be recognized. I mean, as a presenter, doing a speech or a workshop, you have to, and I think that's one of the basics, that you really have to care about the people that you are talking to. Even if you've done it like 20 or 30 or 50 or maybe 100 times, for them it's new. For them it's the first time. For them it's like a new experience. And your enthusiasm and energy and your whatever to do this should be like the first time for you as well, for them as well.
Yeah, you're so right about that. And it's a good point you're making. Once we know the thing and we've become good at it, it's so hard to imagine other people would have a hard time doing this because, for instance, I've been teaching in high schools for a few years. I was teaching chemistry in high school, and I was wondering, how could this ever be complicated for a student? I thought, for me, it was the easiest thing. And then I reminded myself, hey, Asger, do you remember back when you were in high school? Was it super easy for you? Did you understand everything? No, I didn't. I was like an average student doing okay, but I had to work to get just decent. And I thought, you know what? They're the same. So it's not easy for them. And we have to recognize that. But for some reason, it becomes so incredibly hard to imagine that it could be complicated for another person. At least that's my experience. So we really have to try to put ourselves in that shoe and remind ourselves, back when we were at that place at that time.
Right.
And then we can help them, because we just come there and better ourselves and say, it's actually not very hard. You just got to do this and this. Yeah.
I had a presentation on networking. I was doing a workshop on networking live still in, I think it was September, October 2019. The first group they gave me was like 100 people. And I thought, 100 people? I was really scared. Well, not really scared, but I was wondering, how am I going to do this? 100 people? And how interesting is my workshop going to be for them? I mean, what I'm telling them is really simple. And I mean, everybody should know this. I was really surprised, Asger, to find out that how many people did not know how to connect with somebody else. Just have a conversation. And everybody at the end of that my morning, everybody was so happy and so enthusiastic, and I really had the feeling I had helped them. While at first I thought, how difficult can it be? And that was an eye-opener for me. And I take that with me every time I do the same presentation, same workshop. I say to myself, there's new people here, and they all face the same problem. I have to give them, again, my best, my energy, the way the things they could do the things, and help them. And it's ever since, it's like people are grateful, and I'm still surprised.
Yeah, but that's the best thing, when you get feedback and they tell you this was valuable. Like I had a person I was training, and she had to get help just how do you move on stage. Like she was moving a little bit strange with, crossing her legs. I was like, you just walk like when you walk on the street, and then you stop, and then you face the audience. Like you don't have to do any weird walking, like sideways walking. Just walk on. And then next time she came to the club Toastmasters, people were like, wow, you're much better. I told her, eye contact, you look them in the eyes. That you look at that white, so you see a little bit of, how do I have good eye? You look them in the eyes, and then you find another one. You change a little bit, and it's okay if your eyes every now and then go off somewhere else, because you connect with your own ideas, your thoughts. But you want to look at people's eyes. And like those two things, for me, was the simplest thing in the world. Just really made a big difference for her. So we got Anders here. Before we kind of wrapping up things, tip for online presentations: start your presentation before you officially started, so you can get used to talking to a camera and warm up. So what do you mean by that? You start your presentation before you officially started, so you can get used to talking to a camera and warm up. Do you want to comment on that one? I'm not really sure what you mean, Anders. Do you mean when you have an audience, or when you don't have an audience? You're talking to a camera just by yourself? I don't know. I'm not 100% clear on that one. Do you see the comment, Gedjan?
No, I have to refresh it all the time. So I'm really slow.
Okay, let me see if I can.
It's like I can understand that it's people find it very difficult to hear themselves if they are taped on because their voice sound different than they normally hear their own voice, and people find it funny to look at themselves in the screen, especially if you've never done it. So I can imagine that if you have an online presentation, that you are either looking at yourself constantly, if you're in the screen, if you're in the picture, and that you find it difficult. What you can do is, if you have to practice, everybody has Skype, there is Teams, there is Zoom. You can set up a meeting with somebody you know, and you can just practice. And if it's your first time that you're going to do this, I would suggest to ask a friend to help you out and listen to what you're going to say to other people.
Cool. Anders says what Gedjan says. Thumbs up, smiley. Awesome that you nailed it, that one, Gedjan. And Jared says, I'm new to the speaking space, and I definitely noticed a spike in my stress the days leading up to it. I was relieved when it was over and thrilled when I got a note yesterday that people were still talking about it. It was Friday. I know you in Florida, Jared. Awesome to hear. You crushed it and did so well there. This is one of the best ways to attract customers, clients, and eventually when you get really good, you can be paid a lot of money for coming on stage, speaking 45 minutes, an hour and a half. So it's a really a good way to improve your business, get more clients. So super cool. And we got a thumbs up here from Dr. ML. Okay, Jan, we've been talking now for about 50 minutes. I've learned a ton, and it's been so good to hear your experience on comedy, your tips and tricks on storytelling and presentations just in general. You got a final comment or tip, trick, anything you want to do before we finish here? Let me know.
Yes, there's one thing. People always say to somebody else if they're going to do something new, good luck. If it's a comedy, is theater. You never say good luck in theater to people. You always say have fun. If you climb on stage, you will never hear me say to anybody who's going on stage, good luck. It's like, because there is no luck. It's have fun. If you climb on stage, enjoy what you're doing. Live the moment. And it's the same thing with presentations on any subject. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the attention you get. Enjoy the energy. But it's not a matter of luck. If it's bad luck, you've done a lousy preparation. But if you've done everything, just go up there and enjoy.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, have fun. Yeah, because if we have fun, it's more likely the audience is going to have fun.
Exactly.
And honestly, it's just wrapping things up here. It says go online with your audience 10 minutes before and warm up. Great way to do it because you can actually kind of connect with the audience before you start, get a few names, a small chit chat. But I think that kind of wraps it up. Have fun. Go out there, and anybody can learn comedy. What if you just join later? What's the beginning of Gedjan's story, how he got into comedy? So anybody can learn this. Anybody can learn storytelling. It's a skill that can be learned, broken down. So super nice to have you on the show. I'm excited you wanted to join.
Asger, it was really nice to be invited by you. Really nice to talk to you, but because we know we always enjoy talking to each other. But it was exciting to do this. And it was really nice to have an audience that asked questions. And if they want to know something more, feel free to connect and ask me, DM me, whatever. I'll be happy to help you.
DM Gedjan. He's making awesome videos in Dutch. And I've been punking you to make great videos, more great videos, because you have one in English, more great videos in English. And otherwise, I know you help people also one-to-one in English, yes, if they ever want help with that. So connect with Gedjan and learn more. And otherwise, you just have a great person you can connect with. Awesome. I'm going to finish here, Gedjan. Thank you.
Have a good day, all of you. Thank you very much. Bye.